You know, one question that we've been getting quite a bit of, whether it's on social media, through email, people are wondering or they want information on whether they should put their forward-facing sonar on a pole or on the trolling motor. I've done both, and I'll kind of give you my perspective or observations, I guess. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever works for you. Whatever you're comfortable with works fine. It's your boat. You can do whatever you want with it. But I feel like obviously the advantages of maybe having it on a pole is that you can spot lock or drift and then move the forward-facing sonar independently from the trolling motor. If you're using traditional walleye fishing methods like say bottom bouncers and spinners, maybe even if you're trolling cranks, snap weights, you can push the boat one way and then turn the transducer and look back and watch your presentation, watch fish come in, okay? And so there's some different things that you can do. For example, maybe say you're a guide, for example, and you got 3 people in your boat every day and you're dragging stuff below and behind the boat. You can turn that pole around so that everybody can see the screen. And, oh, there comes a fish. Oh, get ready. You know, there's some entertainment value. Maybe you have a fish following it. You give it a little twitch and catch the fish. Or maybe you have a fish follow and it ignores it. Okay, I was using an orange spinner blade. Now I'm going to try chrome. You can change different things. You're getting information that can influence or impact your fishing. But at the same time, when it comes time to see a fish, get the boat in position and make a cast at that fish, which is what is getting a lot of attention for forward-facing sonar, that style of fishing, that aggressive style of fishing where you can drive around, look for fish, and then make a cast, it's really, really difficult to do that style of fishing if you're using a pole, okay? The reason being is you don't have 3 arms. You know, you've got your hands that you need to cast with, and obviously your eyes are on the screen, your feet are on the foot pedal controlling the boat. There isn't another hand where you can turn the pole and then try to line up the boat and then make a cast. I mean, by then it's too late. And so I find that when it comes time to look for fish and then cast at fish and do so fairly aggressively, having the transducer on the trolling motor is really where it's at. That way my hands are free, my foot controls where I'm looking with the forward-facing sonar. And probably the biggest thing that I've had to learn is in perfect situations and perfect conditions where there's hardly any wind, there's hardly any current, you see a fish line up on it perfectly and you make a cast, you watch your jig sink down, you can see your braided line falling through the water, then that fish moves and it eats and everything is perfect and great. But the reality is that a lot of days you're just getting glimpses of that fish where you're casting at something that almost feels like it's moving, whether the boat's moving or the fish is moving, where you've got 2 different things that are moving and you're almost guessing at times, where you get a glimpse of a fish and the boat's swinging and you're trying to use, maybe you're using the anchor mode or the spot lock feature on your trolling motor, so then all of a sudden my head turns away from the fish, but that's right where I last saw that fish, and you're making a cast, okay? And so don't always worry about casting and seeing your jig the entire time and watching the fish eat it. You know there's a fish over there, even though the trolling motor turned or the boat moved, make a cast and hit that fish. And as far as the ranges, I mean, you get pretty good at that. I mean, if you're a bow hunter or a waterfowl hunter, you know what 30 feet looks like, you know what 40 feet looks like. Sometimes it feels like it's closer than what you'd think. As far as 20, 30 feet, that's really not that far. 40, 50, 60 feet, obviously that's a little further. Typically, I'm not casting at fish past 60 feet most of the days, most of the time, but you'll see that threshold where those fish will let you get to a certain distance. Usually it's 30, 40 feet, then they start to respond or react from the boat. And obviously you got to test or gauge that every day. But that's probably the big observations I've had, is if you're going to be sitting in your boat running traditional presentations when it comes to walleye fishing, absolutely you can put it on a pole and it'll work really good for monitoring and watching your presentation. Sometimes you can just mount the forward-facing sonar where it's looking ahead of the boat on a pole. When you see fish, just aim for them with the trolling motor. But when it comes to, you know, the casting stuff that's been getting a lot of attention, because that's the type of fishing that's been winning a lot of the tournaments, for example, it is really, really tough to beat putting it on the shaft of your trolling motor. And so those are my observations. I'd love to know what you think. Leave your comments below. You know, we're still learning with this stuff all the time too. I can remember thinking things 2 years ago, 3 years ago with forward-facing sonar, and I've completely 180'd or pivoted or changed my mind today. And so maybe some ideas I have will be dead wrong, and a couple years from now I'll have a different opinion, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. When it comes to casting, have it on the shaft of your trolling motor. If you mount your forward-facing sonar that way, use it to find fish and cast at fish, to me that is the most life-changing, game-changing thing that's hit fishing in a long, long time. If you're mounting it on a pole, there's a cool factor, but I don't know if it's really going to change your world quite like what happens when you're mounted on the shaft and go after the fish, look for the fish, hunt them down, and try to make a perfect cast at those fish and then catch that fish. When that happens, there's definitely a light bulb that clicks.